Okay.
That's how stubborn I am, though, because like
Yep.
I just gotta do it my way.
I started streaming because I want to embarrass you. So
I'm okay with that. I
okay, I
gotta
have to
turn
update
on
my stream title.
streaming. I still haven't changed to a COD, dude. Oh, boom, man, we are live,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
Hold on. This is what happens. Just so you all know, this is what happens. And we live. We didn't even pregame any of this. We just talked. This is hilarious.
You're
This is
right.
gonna be hilarious.
Yeah,
This show's
I have no
hilarious.
idea what the hell is going on right
We're
now, but
totally
it's
gonna wing
fine.
the shit out of this. Hey, after dark, bro.
You're right. It's fine. We can make it like explicit on YouTube and whatever. It's fine.
Fair.
So, Bruce, how you doing?
I am updating my Facebook status right now.
Do you not know how to multitask, my guy? I'm updating things.
I'm usually very good at it, but unfortunately, right now, since I am consuming alcohol, all right, we're good. All right.
It's
all right,
true.
Hey, it's been a very, very long time.
Okay,
since,
it's been like
we've been on.
it's been like 3 weeks, but it's fine.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. We were on vacation. I've been doing a lot of golfing.
I've not been on vacation. Hello.
I was kidding. Totally kidding.
I mean, it may look like I'm on vacation with my bucket hat, but hold up.
A little bit.
Can you? There we go.
You kind of look at you with your Bradley.
There we go. I wear this to work too.
Oh, really?
So in the morning we wear like our official polos, and then around lunch we change into the t-shirts, which is literally just a shameless plug to make people want to buy t-shirts.
The red?
Well, we have a red one that is like the Wreck-It Ralph font. It's actually pretty cool. So we got that one. We got a gray one, which I hate. It's terrible. And then we have
Hey, that's not bad. It
no.
shows pit stains. It shows.
And we have backpacks that I wear because we carry random crap around, and so then you get like the backpack sweat stain on your back. It's great. It's so much fun. And then my favorite one, we have a black one that is like the Friends design, which I never watched Friends, but I think it just looks cool. It's clean, so I like it.
Not a fan. I said it. I mean, we are live right now.
I don't think.
Okay, so this is controversial, and I'm totally okay with saying it. This is this. Oh, by the way, welcome to Third Down Thursday, guys, with MJ Hurley.
We did no introduction.
And Coach Bruce. We did no introduction.
It's
mind
fine.
you, right now this is the After Dark version. So Coach Bruce is going with a little harder stuff. And MJ Hurley right here is going to be a little bit more off the cuff, I'm sure.
Oh yes,
So,
because I have worked 12 hours today and I am really tired. So
fair enough.
we are going for it.
Let's get after it. So one of the first things that I do want to talk to you about, and I want to bring up, is hey, baseball's back, baby.
Yes,
we
it is.
We were talking about
1
that
week from today. 1 week from today.
No, is it today? I thought it was tomorrow.
No, 1 week from today, the 23rd, opening day.
Let's go.
Very happy.
So recently, today. So I mean, let's go down that. By the way, just so you all know, we did not do any pre-prep talk or anything like that.
We were supposed to, and then Bruce was playing COD. It just didn't.
I was playing Call of Duty.
Oops.
And now we're totally just doing this. We're winging it. And my fiance actually gets really upset at me because when I wing things, she's like, "You need to stop that. You need to stop that." I understand it because she's a lot smarter than I am. However, I am the type of person.
Good answer.
Good, right? For real. She is.
Yeah.
But I just like to wing stuff. I like get after it off the cuff. But anyway, Reinsdorf was just recently quoted in saying that he's kind of against the setup for that's going on right now, and he's actually worried about next year too.
Okay.
Because like the financial means and stuff like that. I don't know. So do you think they've done enough? Do you think that like the NBA has the bubble?
Yeah.
NHL has a bubble type system.
Yes.
Major League Baseball though, I have an opinion on this, mind you. I just want to hear yours. Like, do you think baseball has done enough?
Okay. The thing is, baseball is naturally physically distanced. So if you think about it, other than somebody sliding into a base or leading off, things like that, there's not much contact inherently in a baseball game. And the thing right now with the CDC is like, you need to spend 15 minutes next to someone within 6 feet without a mask on in order for it to be like super dangerous. So that's why all the classrooms in college and high schools and stuff are going to be distanced at least 7 feet is the idea, so that there's not that danger, so that they could ideally take their mask off if they really wanted to, but obviously encourage them to keep it on, stuff like that. So with baseball, it's just much more distanced. Also, not to get like too TMI, but you don't sweat as much playing baseball because there's less cardio, things like that.
Hot, dude.
Okay, it's hot, but like Mike Trout standing in center field isn't gonna sweat on Justin Upton in left field. That's my point.
Is Mike Trout gonna play though?
Is he not going to? Wait, did I miss something?
I mean, he's questioning it, he's considering it, but he's gonna play.
Yeah, he's going to play. He has a lot of money on the line. Even with prorated salaries, that man is still going to make a lot of money. So, I mean, it is just, baseball doesn't have, it's an outdoor sport. It's harder to pass the disease along outdoors, things like that. So I think the idea that baseball hasn't done enough is kind of stupid because they already have it easier. So, okay, all the umpires, all the coaches should wear masks. They have all of the protocols in place for coming in and out of the dugout, coming in and out of the clubhouse, coming in and out of the stadium. They're not supposed to shower there. There's a list of a ridiculous amount of things they're not supposed to do. They have
it's a packet.
They literally have a 96-page safety protocol, which the NBA and the NHL do not have, mind you. So I think the idea that Major League Baseball has not done enough is kind of ridiculous. I understand why, because people are already kind of scrutinizing them with how poorly they handled getting back to play. But if you look at it, I mean, they have a player pool that is designed so that teams will not be hurt by the idea of somebody either opting out or somebody testing positive for COVID. Somebody tests positive, immediately they have a player pool at a designated location that is also has all of the same regulations and guidelines as their regular location. They're playing AL Central, NL Central, NL East, AL East to limit travel.
Limit.
Exactly. They're only going to be using certain travel locations. So there are going to be designated hotels for only Major League Baseball teams when they come. They are only using team planes. Only that team is going to be using that team plane. Whereas the NBA, we saw one of the biggest issues when the whole Rudy Gobert thing happened right away, was like 8 different teams had used the plane that the Jazz used the night before. So they had there were a ridiculous amount of people who would come into contact. So many teams had to quarantine right away. That's not going to be a problem. So would it be ideal to have a bubble scenario like the NBA? Yes, but there's also more teams in Major League Baseball and there's more players. So inherently, that might actually be worse than the NBA. It's a little bit easier to distance everyone in the NBA. There's like 12 guys per team, and you don't need as much staff. You need a lot more staff.
12 guys per team, and you have like countless. I shouldn't say countless, but a handful per team of essential workers.
Exactly.
So I agree with that.
And in Major League Baseball, for some reason, I don't know why. I mean, both the games are very demanding on your body, but for some reason in Major League Baseball, they have more trainers and stuff like that. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how it works.
I'm of the camp that basketball is a harder sport than on your body. Not.
Yes, I agree.
So we won't go on that topic because I'm going to make a lot of people angry with this my comments.
But yeah, generally, I think Major League Baseball has done as good of a job as they can. Obviously, there are only so many things you can do. They're not going to require every player to wear a mask on the field because that would cause mass. That would just be bad.
They're tested. They're tested frequently. And I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I don't know if you're done or not, but
go for it.
You probably weren't, but I'm just being a jackass. Whatever.
Go for it.
By the way, yes, this is different than my normal Coach Bruce cup, but whatever.
Late night talk show.
Late night talk. So that being said, I actually like the fact that you touched on something that a lot of people don't. It's not the play on the field, because I agree with you on that, and I'm not saying I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you on what you said.
Yeah.
However, there are a lot of people that don't think about these type of things. Play on the field, you're right, total separated. Other situations with regards to a bubble city. To be honest with you, it's not practical for baseball.
Yeah.
So the subject was brought up about travel.
Yep.
And how traveling is going to cause a Major League Baseball player to get COVID. Respectfully, 100%, I frankly disagree.
Okay.
Why? Because you have a controlled environment. Your bus that takes them from their meeting location at the stadium or hotel that they are traveling from to the airport, that's a controlled environment. They can clean that. Everything's all good. Once they get to the airport, again, I don't know this 100%, but I'm assuming the Chicago Cubs have a private jet.
Right. Most teams do, yes.
Exactly. So they have a private jet. Guess what? They're going to go straight from that bus. They're going to skip all the stuff through O'Hare. They're going to skip all the stuff through Orlando Airport or wherever they might. I don't know. I'm just saying, like wherever they may be, and go straight to the tarmac and say, get on the plane and go.
Yeah.
And it's a controlled environment for all these guys. And the vast majority of these teams, regardless of Major League Baseball, hockey even, because hockey's going to have 2 hub cities, from what I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong. That being said, you're going to have 2 different areas in a controlled environment. I love the fact that, like, you can hear my dog now. Hey,
you're good.
Relax.
Chill.
I apologize. Hey, after dark.
Yep, you're right.
But no, like I like that's the one thing that you touched on that I think a lot of people look past and they don't understand it because they're not going to they don't do the traditional things that you and I do when we travel. We don't have to interact. We don't have to see anybody that is like on the side right here or whatever. Traditionally, from like when you're in season, when you're out of season, it's a different story, obviously. Yeah. But since Major League Baseball has to resume their season, and the NBA is hubbed right now in Orlando.
Yep.
Football is obviously not in season, but I'm assuming guys could run into them because they're on their personal time. They can do whatever they want to do and travel. But traditionally, when you're in season, you're not going to see these guys because guess what? They're not traveling on the same flight as you.
Right.
So they're going straight from that bus, from the hotel, from the wherever their original spot is, straight to the plane.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that was pretty awesome that you touched on that because shut up. People are like freaking out. They're like, oh my God, like somebody on the Cubs is gonna or Javier Baez is gonna get COVID. God bless him. I hope he does not because you know this virus has been terrible and it's been absolutely brutal. But if like everything goes well and they do the necessary things that is needed to prevent it, and the Chicago Cubs do the necessary, and whomever it is, I shouldn't use the Cubs only as an example. Yes. The Oakland Athletics do the necessary things or whatever. By the way, I actually have a great quote that's from a player from the Athletics that I'm going to share with you in a little bit.
Oh boy, oh boy! I think I know what you're talking about, but it's fine.
You do, you totally do.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's okay.
You totally do. But that being said, though, like as long as like they're doing the necessary guidelines and the teams the teams are professional, which I'm sure they are, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
they're gonna be fine.
I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing is just that the teams don't share travel. So as long as the teams themselves don't share the planes, I think they'll be fine. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, they're not going to share hotel rooms. They'll clean the hotel rooms between uses and things like that. I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I really just think that sharing planes is the biggest issue. I mean, yes, you can clean the plane, but still, I mean, other than that, I really think it'll be okay.
MJ, there's no sharing planes, bro. You can't take your plane and the MJ Hurley Express from Bradley to anywhere that you want to go. I get it. You do that a lot, dude.
I know. I'm sorry. Me and my private jet. So I'm also interested. So I saw today it's about, I believe, 2.5% of NFL players so far have tested positive. I've seen very mixed reviews on whether that is good or bad. Your take, go.
Wow, that's interesting. Good or bad?
Yes. Is that a good number or a bad number?
2.5%. So there is it's 53 or 53 man roster,
Yep.
not including practice players.
Correct.
Also, they expand it during the summer because they have multiple players that are. I mean, if you go by regulations, state to state and CDC, 2.5. That's not bad.
No,
it's not bad.
It's not.
However, in what I'm saying may be controversial, but in the cancel culture that we currently have, with situations that sometimes merit the necessary movements that we have, and sometimes the situations that do not merit action as swift as we have.
Yep.
I think that, it's tough. God bless them. I hope they're okay. Like that 2.5%. Oof. I don't know, man. This is tough.
So do you want some numbers before you make a final judgment?
No, because I like to go off the cuff.
Okay, you can give your.
We're gonna go off the cuff,
and I'll go with the numbers after.
So I'm sure you do. You're great at it. But I wing shit, dude.
No, go for it.
So that being said, I actually respectfully, I do think that you'll have the jackasses that look at it from the money perspective. We need gung ho. Let's go.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. We're fine. And then you have the players that are concerned about the health and well-being of their career, and frankly, they should be, because on average, an NFL football player is 4 years only. So to be honest with you, from a player perspective, you're damn right you should be concerned. However, from the owner perspective and the money part, because they're jackasses, they're going to be able to say, guess what? We're going to continue with this shit because it's a very small number.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Okay. So when you look at, if we want to basically make the NFL a sample size, right? I'll try to use simple terms for you, Bruce.
Appreciate it, because I need that.
I know. I do too sometimes. I was telling some of my students today, I'm like...
I mean, even now. Some of your students, relax. You're only 2 years, not even a year older than
That's what we called them. They're students. And they were in my groups, so they were my student. What do you want me to call them? I
student too.
Yes, I know. I am your student. They were my students. So they are your grand students. Be nice to them. So what I was telling them is I'm not I'm a comm major. I basically talk and write for a living, and other than that, if it doesn't really have to do with sports or me being a sarcastic piece of crap, I don't really know what it is. So they
hold on, come on. Sarcastic piece of what?
Crap.
What?
Crap.
This is the After Dark version.
Bruce, you know I don't really swear.
Shit?
Yes.
What?
Bruce.
Go ahead.
You would need to get actual alcohol in me for me to do that, probably. So yeah, I was telling them I don't really know geography. I don't really know really anything too well. So in basic MJ and Bruce words, if you compare the NFL to the United States, in the United States, for all of the tests, it's about 9.2, between 8.9 and 9.2% of all of the tests are positive cases.
Right.
So the NFL, it was 75 people tested positive. Right now, there's 90 people active for every NFL team times 53. That's 2,880. So that's where you get the 2.5% from.
It's a lot of numbers, dude.
Okay, so that is basically. So that is the NFL is the number that Illinois needed to get to stage 4.
Correct.
So that's the point where we're kind of safe to do some things. Right. So if the NFL is at that point, I'm okay with it. If they start getting to the 6, 7, 8, 9, then I think that's a little bit of a bigger problem. But that's around the area that Illinois needed to be to open up. I also think I saw a debate on Twitter, are sports essential? And I think that's really hard to figure out, because if you look at it, In terms of, I know it's like a really deep question, right? If you look at it inherently, are sports essential? No. But when you look at it in the context of the United States and in the context of how much money is involved, you can't just look at it as a sport. You can't just look at it as baseball.
I would actually like argue against you on that, to be honest with you.
Really?
Inherently, yeah. No, I think they are important.
Okay. I mean, I would agree, yes, but I'm also very biased because this is what I do for a living. So, like,
and that's fair. And that's fair because like, you're gonna find people that like don't know. I'm sorry, like I'll say it, that are ignorant to the growth that you can possibly have from being a part of athletics.
Yeah.
And it's the same growth, in my opinion, that you have from like other avenues of like of whatever respective area that you want to go into in the arts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like I said, it's totally my opinion.
No, I agree. So whether you're playing, what I really like to talk about is how like during World War II, baseball during World War I and World War II, baseball was one of the few things. That's the reason it became America's pastime, was because that was one of the few things that people could do to get away from the fact that most likely they had at least one, if not 3 to 5 family members who were across the Atlantic Ocean fighting for our country. That was one of the only things they could do to get away, was listen to music, listen to the radio, and go to baseball games.
It's a vacation. You know, it's a vacation. It takes you, and I'm being that jackass that I really tried not doing, but interrupting you because you're the one that's like, this is your thing, but it's a vacation. That's what sports provide. It provides people, and I'm not looking at it from the perspective of betting because it's over here. Yeah. But I'm looking at it from the purity of it, to be honest with you. And like, you know, being a kid and like being like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna be like Frank Thomas, like trying to hit a home run in Game 7 of the World Series, or I'm gonna be Sammy Sosa trying to hit a home run in Game 7 of the series. That means jack nothing. Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, honestly, like, there's a lot of things, and the team camaraderie portion and things like that, and like hanging out with the friends, and like, and we both know this, and everyone knows this, and while no, we may not be like associating this right now currently with sports, in regards to like Chicago and professional sports, like, no, this is kind of bigger, and like, it's kind of like, like sports are, in my opinion, important to the fabric of what. Not only like what we do and what we associate our lives with, but with the fabric of, I'm going to go on a limb here and say 70 to 75% of Americans.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is, you will remember this a lot better than I will because I was 1 year old. But when the first baseball game was played after 9/11, that was a sign. President Bush went out and threw the first pitch in New York.
I just got chills when you said it.
That was a sign to America that everything was okay. President Bush was willing to go out in public with a ridiculous amount of people around him, and he was not worried. And so, although COVID is not terrorism, it's still causing a similar amount of chaos, and it has been an extended period of chaos. And so the idea is that if we can play sports, if athletes can go out and do this right and do it safely and not screw it up, then we can go to school and do it safely. We can go to work and do it safely. And so even if the disease still exists for a little bit and still until we get a vaccine, sports coming back is a sign that we can still work together and have some sense of normalcy, even if more people are wearing a mask than they would have been before. Even if we're a little bit further apart than we would have been before, we can still play the games we love. We can still talk about the games that we love.
Very well said. Very well said.
And a perfect segue for Brandon here.
There you go, Brandon. There you go. Oh, no. Well, I mean, you can keep it sideways, too. That'd be kind of interesting, too.
How you doing, Brandon?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. You want to introduce yourself to everybody real quick?
Sure. So my name is Brandon Warne. I cover the Twins for right now my own personal website, brandonwarne.net. But I recently left zonecoverage.com, a place that I covered the Twins for 5 seasons. You can find me on Twitter at Brandon_Warne. That's WARNE. For the website, I did podcasting. I covered the Twins. I did a little bit of everything, and hopefully we'll get to do that again somewhere else in the future. But right now, the future is kind of murky for this kind of media stuff. So I'm just going to do my own thing until something better comes along.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that, Brandon. By the way, Brandon, I'm Coach Bruce. Pleasure.
How you doing?
I have absolutely zero credibility with regards to media coverage like you. So I'll totally admit it to you right now, right away. I'm just the guy that's helping out MJ being amazing and being who he is. And I love the background, by the way, with the bar setting because, sir, cheers.
Yes. Yeah, I should have had something, but I was not thinking ahead.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
So Brandon, what we were kind of just talking about right now, and I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on this, is we're kind of talking about like the idea of sports coming back, the idea of baseball coming back. Is Major League Baseball doing enough to keep everybody safe? And a debate I saw on Twitter, which I'm sure you've noticed as well, the idea of is sports essential? So I'd like to hear your thoughts on kind of all of that, whether or not you think sports should come back, and especially like, are sports essential, not just specifically in terms of like money and the business, because I think we can all recognize there are a lot of people whose livelihoods depend on working for a sports organization or things like that, but also just kind of like the purity and the holistic idea of like how important sports can be in rough times.
Well, I have a lot of trepidation to see these leagues coming back because it's going to require added testing for these players, and should that testing be for the players? Should it be for the general public? I mean, I grant that the testing has come a long way since we started discussing this back in April and May, but that's my primary question. If there's enough testing for the general public, that kind of assuages my concern. Then it just becomes, how well can they manage this? Because in a pandemic, obviously things can snowball really quickly. And if one team gets, let's say, 12 or 15 guys sick all at once, do they forfeit the rest of the schedule? Do they call up guys who would otherwise have been in Double-A and start messing with their service clocks and 40-man roster implications and all that stuff? And is the testing reliable enough, too, is a valid question, because I think it was Joey Gallo tested positive one day, negative the next, and then positive the next. And so that certainly raises questions about the validity. And again, too, guys can be asymptomatic. In fact, a lot of guys are asymptomatic and testing positive. And then you've got guys like Freddie Freeman, who sounds like he had pretty, I wouldn't say severe, but significant symptoms. So what does it take? Does it take a player like Mike Trout opting out? Does it take a coach getting really, really sick and being on death's door? Does it, heaven forbid, take a player getting to that level? I really don't know. It's uncharted territory. The thing is that every player, every team is on the same footing as far as the virus not discriminating who it's going to infect.
Right.
But there are going to be questions as far as, is this going to be a legitimate season? Are fans going to view the World Series championship as a legitimate one if their team wins or loses it? And I don't know. What does a 60-game sprint mean? Because there'll be good teams that are home in October, and there might be some weird teams that get to the playoffs, and once you get to October, you can make some noise. So I just have a lot of questions, and honestly, I think assuming we get to next week, a week from today or a week from tomorrow, we can start answering some of them. But I'm still skeptical. I'm probably closer to 75, 80%, but I was about 50% when they started this summer camp that they would get to it and get this season off the way that they expected. I'm still not certain it's going to finish, but I'm more hopeful than I was a couple weeks ago.
So from like a fan perspective, I'm totally looking forward to it, to be honest with you, because selfishly, like I miss watching the Cubs play. I'm a Cubs fan, obviously. You can see the W flag in the background and everything. I just miss sitting there. I've been watching marquee. I've been watching the intra-squad games and everything like that. So, like, my question to you is the fact that, like, yes, it's a 60-game schedule, and I'm going to steer away from the COVID talk and more so towards the preparation talk. So,
Sure.
what do you actually think that these players are going through right now, and their summer camps and their, spring, I don't know, like just the second part of everything, like the preparatory to the season? Like, how do you feel? Like, what do you think is like going through their minds and to restart everything again, especially the pitchers?
Yeah, for a lot of these guys, it was being home at certain times of year. Like Nelson Cruz hadn't been back home in, I think it was April at the time, like mid-April, since 2000. And Taylor Rogers said the same thing. It had been like 7 or 8 years since he'd been home.
Wow.
For hitters, it's obviously about timing. A lot of guys say spring training's too long for them. Anywhere from 15 to 20 plate appearances, and they can get up to speed. With pitchers, I think the biggest thing was staying prepared for a moving target, because I think their hope initially was maybe June 1 and then maybe July 1, and now we're going to be closer to August 1.
Yeah.
And the ramp-up process, it's just like any time a starting pitcher gets hurt. Even if it's just tendonitis in their elbow, you sit them down for 10 days. That ramp-up process takes another 10 to 12 to 15 days. And that's why a pitcher who gets hurt is very rarely out for less than a month, because it's all screwy in terms of ramping them back up. Well, when you're trying to stay ramped up, but you're not throwing in-game action, that's difficult. When you're trying to stay ramped up, but you're still not sure if you're ever going to pitch this season, because there were times where there was the season hanging in the balance, even down to, I think, the very last point when they finally came to an agreement. Mm-hmm. So the difficulty for those guys is how many quote-unquote scrimmage outings can they get to get their pitch counts up, because I think they can usually go maybe like 15 more pitches each time out. So maybe you go 50, 65, 80. And I think 80 is kind of the sweet spot to start the season, with the hope that you can be to 100 within the first, second, maybe in a rare occasion, third start. But yeah, so for them, it's gauging where each guy is, because each guy is going to be different. Some guys have been holed up in Fort Myers as far as the Twins are concerned. Some guys went back to, the Dominican or whatever. And then there were guys that stayed in Minnesota because the facility allowed them to have equipment from Target Field. So guys were kind of all over the place. So a lot of it's about assessments. Where are guys at this given time, and how close are they to prepared? And how do you ramp guys up at different speeds, which is certainly a challenge.
Sure. So, MJ, if you don't mind, I just got a text from a buddy of mine that's watching right now. He saw like you're a Twins person. Uh-oh. So he he's a big White Sox guy. So he's actually very curious to know what the thought process is behind when you guys saw Michael Kopech decided to not pitch for the Chicago White Sox this year. So is it a positive for you guys? Like, did it make you feel better? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, you try not to view it through the lens of a competitive advantage, because these are still humans looking out for their best,
of course,
as far as their best interests for their family, for their finances, everything. Kopech being a young guy, obviously the virus might be less of an issue for him, and obviously the money. He's got very little time in the upper minors, big leagues, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult, because if he was going to be a back and forth guy this year, maybe he wasn't going to stick in the big leagues. That really isn't an option for a lot of guys. And so how much development time does he really lose? Because I don't know. I mean, maybe he would have made 10 starts or 15, or who knows, maybe 30. I'm not certain about 30, because they're going to. What's that?
I said 8. I'm like 8.
Yeah, I feel like they would have wanted to bring him along slowly. And I mean in a full season, I guess I should clarify.
Yeah.
But
fair.
Yeah, the fact that he's going to opt out, and instead of making 7 or 8 starts at the peak, he's going to make 0. It's a tough spot to be in when you've got guys in the upper minors who are that close to ready or could be ready. And the Twins are going to deal with that a lot too. Alex Kirilloff, Trevor Larnach, Royce Lewis, Jordan Balazovic, all these guys who are on the cusp. It's kind of a question of, does it cost the guys closer to the big leagues more, or does it cost the guys further from the big leagues more? Because, like, for instance, the Twins' number 1 pick last year, Keone Cavaco, went to rookie ball and was horrible, just absolutely dreadful, and then he has a year off. What does that mean for a guy like that? Meanwhile, you've got Alex Kirilloff, one of their best hitting prospects. he missed a year for Tommy John surgery, came back and absolutely killed it. But now that's 2 years of development that it's cost him. And so there's a lot of guys who are losing a ton of development. With Kopech, what you're looking for anytime a guy makes the step or the jump to the big leagues is the refinement process. It's something I think Reynaldo Lopez is getting closer to. Good. I know people think he's got a straight fastball and all that, but I think he's got the stuff to be a successful pitcher. I think adding a catcher like Yasmani Grandal helps. But that rounding out process is very difficult for each pitcher. It happens at different levels. Guys like Roy Halladay take a long time, and then some guys just step into the big leagues in day one. They've got it. Jose Barrios for the Twins was another one who struggled. So how much is that going to matter for Kopech? I think a lot, because he's a guy who throws hard. He's obviously is always going to deal with some command stuff because of how hard he throws. And so that rounding out process is more fine. It's more important. So it stinks. It really does stink. And I think when you look at it from a Twins perspective, you say, wow, you wish it wasn't that way. Sure, it'll probably help the Twins, but also good for him for looking out for himself in a way that's unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, something I'm curious about that you mentioned is somebody coming off of Tommy John surgery. So normally, do we lose him? There we go.
I had a phone call. Stupid phone call. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay.
No worries.
That was very cute. That was a very cute picture, though. I'm going to tell you right now. Was that your son hitting off the tee right there?
Oh, my daughter. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a quick.
No, it's all right. It's all good.
That's awesome.
That was great.
I was just worried that it was my internet, because Bruce knows I'm used to my internet being the one that cuts out. And I was like, oh, no, it happened again. Okay.
I just bought a new router to avoid that, so we're good there.
I'm in college, so I don't have that luxury yet, but good for you.
Yeah.
That's good. Yes. Something I'm interested about is a guy coming off of Tommy John surgery. So if we look at like Shohei Ohtani or the two young pitchers the A's have, AJ Puk and Jesus Luzardo, guys like that normally might be on an innings restriction this year, they don't really have enough games to get to the point where that would really be a problem. So is that going to be a benefit for those guys and the teams with a pitcher who is really dynamic that might have been on an innings restriction?
From a percentage standpoint, it will be, because they'll give the team 100% of the innings. But again, too, it'll come back to ramping up. And again, our uncharted territory. If these teams are taking care of these guys, I don't think you see any sort of innings limit, but you might see pitches limits early, and it might be a slower process, like 10 more pitches per time rather than 15 or 20. The biggest thing, too, that I've seen is, how about guys from the minors next year who don't pitch this year? And let's say they threw 100 innings last year. Normally you'd go 120, 140, 150, somewhere in that. With that drop-off, how do you account for that the next year, and how much is it going to cost guys moving forward to do that? So the Tommy John guys, I feel like, are going to be a little easier to gauge, just because, again, like you said, they're basically going to be able to give you this full season in terms of innings. Because, I mean, what are guys going to cap out at? Probably 60 innings, 50, this off the top of my head. Yeah. 60, 12 starts. Yeah, probably 70 or 80 innings. I don't think anybody's going to get to 100 or anything, obviously. No. So, yeah, probably 60, 70 innings. So you're really not worried, unless you're worried about it being in a condensed period of time. And really you shouldn't be, because it's still going to be 5-day rotations, maybe 6 in some cases. And it's just going to be like if they made the rotation in April and you're starting to talk about innings in June. 2 months is not a big deal. So I think it actually will probably benefit the A's in that respect, assuming Luzardo, assuming Puck are both where they need to be right now in terms of healing. And again, too, are they going to rush them because there's no minor league baseball? It's going to be a delicate balance, but I think it'll actually probably work to their benefit more than their detriment.
So something else that you mentioned earlier, which I think is the biggest question, you have teams like the A's and the Nationals who kind of generally just start really slowly and are just not good right away, especially the Oakland A's. I mean, goodness, are they bad right away? Yeah, I mean, if they could just play like they do after June 30th the entire year, they would break records, but they don't. So, I mean, with that, is that one of the biggest reasons people are going to question the credibility of the season? And if so, who are some sleepers that you might think could sneak into the playoffs that would not be able to withstand a 162-game season?
Yeah, it'll come into question of if it was number of games or time of year. I mean,
true.
I obviously I don't think it's time of year. And I think, too, the great equalizer in 162 games is regression. Teams that have talent, more often than not, will figure it out in 162 games, 60 games. I mean, you might have a team like the Royals pop off 33 wins, 27 losses, then grab a wild card. I don't see that happening, but hey, it could happen. In terms of teams that could surprise, for me, San Diego really pops in the National League just because of the raw talent they have. Obviously, LA is probably the most talented team in baseball, definitely the National League.
For sure.
I think Atlanta is right behind them. I think the Mets are really interesting, and obviously, there's some for me, teams like 5 through 12 in the National League, you could pick them out of a hat. Basically, Pittsburgh, Miami, and who am I missing? Pittsburgh, Miami, and Colorado are the bottom 3.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, it's just it's going to be crazy. So I like the Padres. I like the Reds. The Reds have an offense that will absolutely squash people.
The Reds scare me as a Cubs fan.
Yes, they should.
Yeah.
They should. And their pitching foundation, which is what they've done with driveline guys who work out in Seattle. They hired Derek Johnson, who's a big-time pitching guru that I think he was with them last year. Now this will be his second year. If their hitting does what it's supposed to, their pitching is going to come along pretty fast. They're going to be pretty good. I mean, they're going to score some runs. They're going to get on base. For your Cubs, I'm a little worried, honestly, because their bullpen is going to be so bad.
Uh-huh.
And if they had,
it's been bad for 2 years, bro.
yeah, true. But if they have any sort of injuries, like they've got their big 4, big 5 offensive players, but
if health, so to interject, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And mind you, I will totally give you much more knowledgeable about this than I am. Offensively, I think they're going to be fine. Hitting, they'll be fine. Starting pitching, on paper, it looks good.
Yep.
What scares me is that Craig Kimbrell, he was shit. He was shit.
Bad.
He was shit.
Really bad.
He was shit. But the middle relief, it's okay. I want to say okay. I want to say okay. I just want to say okay.
I'll give you okay.
But I don't know. It's kind of a coin flip. I'm sorry. And that's how I feel about the Cubs this year. It's a coin flip. And I know Fox put a thing out on Instagram and Twitter saying that the fans voted them as the winner of. But the reason why is because it's the Cubs. That's the only reason why. And,
yeah.
And I will totally say that. I'll totally admit that. It's just because it's the Cubs. That's it. Yes, they're very talented, and yes, I think that. They are a nationally known team, and that's the reason why a lot of people think they're talented. But there's a lot of holes on that team.
It's hard to believe after how talented they were 5 years ago when they first ramped up, and it was Jorge Soler and all these young guys, and everyone was excited about the prospects coming up, and then they flipped some Gleyber Torres and all that. So, yeah. I also think the Diamondbacks could be really good, by the way, before I jump to the NL, or the AL, excuse me. The Diamondbacks have some pitching, even with Mike Leake opting out. I'd say watch out for Zach Gallen this year. Really, really fascinating guy. I love Archie Bradley at the back of that bullpen. On the American League side, honestly, the Angels is pretty much the only team. They're pretty much the only team I see.
I don't think it's a surprise. I don't think the Angels are a surprise, respectfully.
Sure. I just think, though, that they're behind Houston, they're behind Oakland in terms of where they're viewed. But for me, in a short season, what we see in short bursts, whether it's the playoffs or stretch runs, is teams with high-end talent benefit. You look at the Nationals, and the Nationals last year had an ERA, I think it was exactly what the Twins was or within a couple points. And yet, whose pitching staff in October are you going to take, Minnesota or Washington? Well, because in concentrated bursts, you can go to your studs. So with the Angels, in concentrated bursts, you've got Trout, you've got Ohtani, you've got Anderson Simmons, who's coming off an injury, but he's an elite shortstop, doesn't strike out. You've got all kind of Rendon, You've got Jason Castro coming in to handle that pitching staff. That pitching staff, which has been ravaged by elbow injuries for what feels like the last decade.
Seriously.
But you've got Ohtani possibly doing that for them as well. Hansel Robles, the back of their bullpen should be good if Keenan Middleton comes back healthy, which I think he's going to. I just think they have enough high-end talent to hang where you might not want to face them in October. And maybe Mike Trout can do the thing where he makes people forget about him not showing up in October like Clayton Kershaw. Now, granted, he hasn't had the opportunities Clayton Kershaw had, but at this point, people are like, well, Mike Trout's not so great. What has he done in the playoffs? Same thing they said about Kershaw. They're still going to say about Kershaw, but it'll be his chance, I think, if things come together. Now, with that said, I think they're behind the A's. I think they're behind the Astros. The Astros are kind of a wild card to me. They're the most talented team in the AL. Maybe the Yankees. I like the pitching staff of the Astros better starting-wise because of all the injuries the Yankees have had. But I just think the Astros are a wild card because you got a new manager. Granted, it's Dusty Baker. He's been around the block. But how are they going to react to all this shakedown, which the fallout from their scandals that we still haven't really seen? If people might have forgotten about it for all we know. So it's going to be interesting. I think the AL, though, it's the Angels.
So, Brandon, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean
All good.
But to be honest with you, I actually think that COVID-19, while, yes, it's a pandemic, and that's much more serious in sports, I think that actually helped with the situation that's happening down in Houston, because we were focusing. I can recall being on my elliptical, watching TV and seeing the conversations that were saying what's going to happen with Houston. They're cheating and this, that, and the other, and there was a big time exposure for that nationally. Everyone was worried about it, and then the COVID-19 hit, and it's quieter now. And I actually think it helped them, to be honest with you. And yes, they have a new manager, but I think it helped them.
Well, it's a new old manager, and I think though the threat of them getting beaned, twice a game over it is probably gone. But
yeah,
I don't know. We won't know until the game starts mattering.
Once a game, brother. Once a game.
Now it's down to once.
That's fine.
The thing I'm very interested about, and I saw this on Twitter today. You'll notice, Brandon, a lot of my sports analogies and interests on this show come from Twitter, which I'm sure a lot of people do at this point. But what I saw was somebody was talking about how they don't think it's a good idea to give the Astros access to, I'm sure you saw, there's 75 different crowd noises from MLB The Show that all the teams are going to get access to for when something happens. There will be approved noises, everything. Well, with a team that is known for using noises as codes for certain pitches, I wouldn't be too keen on giving the Astros access to that. I understand, I guess I would assume you have to. But I would be interested to see if there's any limits or any restriction on the Astros and all of the technology that's going into kind of making a better fan experience this season, because I would not be surprised if somebody in that organization found a way to mess with that.
Yeah, my mind went to nefarious means as well. I also wonder too, let's say you hit a ground ball over third base and it's going to be a double and a guy's going to score from first. Do you mess with the crowd sounds to make it sound like the guy's closer or further from home and all that sort of things too? I mean, and who's going to be in charge of it? You're not going to expect a utility infielder to be doing it. So the manager's got stuff to work on. I mean, is it going to be their video coordinator? I don't know. Honestly, it's going to be kind of interesting because it's all uncharted territory, man.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, too, because you have no idea how they're going to regulate it. You don't know who's running it. You don't know if they're a part of Major League Baseball. You don't know if it's someone from the team that's employed from them. It's scary.
Right.
Yeah. Brandon, I think the last question I have for you, and this is something I enjoy proposing to people who are more experienced in the baseball world than I am, is I have an idea, and it's a little bit based in statistics. I've talked to, I don't know if you know, Devin Fink, Ryan Spader, Jeremy Frank. I've talked to those guys about this, and they kind of agree with me a little bit. And my idea is that on any given day, when you compare Shohei Ohtani to Mike Trout, especially when you look at a 60-game season, Shohei Ohtani could provide more value, especially in a shorter season, than Mike Trout could. So I want to get your opinion on this. And I love the look on his face, because that's the look that everyone gives me.
Like when I saw that face, like I'm the same way.
But if you think about it, Shohei Ohtani, he will play. I mean, likely he will play the majority of the games. He's going to be making, if we think about it, what, like 10 starts, something like that, give or take.
Knock on wood.
Exactly. Knock on wood. If he makes 10 starts, DHs 40 games, Mike Trout plays his 50, 55, whatever. I think Shohei Ohtani, if you look at it from a purely statistical perspective, he could provide more value to the Angels this season than Mike Trout.
I don't think it's unreasonable, but I'd say it's got like a 5% chance of happening, just because the DH curve for value is so hard to overcome. So yes. I worked at Fangraphs for a while, and the biggest thing for positional adjustments is that DHs lose so much value because of their defensive abyss. So like a really good left fielder and a really good center fielder, the center fielder or the shortstop is going to get a boost because of the value playing the middle of the field. Right. So I agree with the premise that it could happen. I agree with the premise that it actually wouldn't be insane. Like, I don't think you should be laughed off your own show for saying it or anything crazy like that.
Thank you, Brandon.
I think it's valid. I think that'd be really
I laugh at him. It's okay. You can do it.
But it's your show too, isn't it?
He's the host.
Yeah. Maybe like 5, 8, 10% chance. But I also think too, I mean, in 60 games, Mike Trout could hit 280, slug 480, and have just an average season. Or he could have a 1,200 OPS and be worth 6 wins, and it'd just be the craziest thing we've ever seen.
Right.
We'll have to look at rolling 60-game averages to kind of see what the outcomes could be. But I don't think it's unreasonable because he's that good of a pitcher, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, I mean, he can really hit too. I mean, he's an absolute masher. I don't think there's any doubt in our minds that he can handle this level like there's been for some of the guys who've come overseas. Can they handle velocity? Can they handle good off-speed pitches late in counts? It's possible. It's very, very possible. But when I say that, I still say I'm definitely skeptical.
That's fair.
So Brandon, I know MJ said that was the last question, but
I don't care. I'm not doing anything.
Fair enough. Me neither. I'm just enjoying my time with you guys.
My little one's in the tub, so we're good.
Perfect.
Fair. So I have a very knowledgeable friend of mine with baseball, and he's actually blowing up my phone right now. And he just sent me 3 texts about the Twins that he actually wants to know about. And he's like, how are the Twins going to handle their playoff meltdown after hitting the most home runs in baseball history? And he's like, they hit under 200. And he's like, did they overachieve last year, or is that team actually that good?
Interesting.
Do you mean in terms of like how will they rebound from how poorly they played?
Yeah, how well they did. And then have that meltdown.
They in October last year they swung like they were swinging limp pool noodles. It was just 3 games, and so anything can happen in 3 games. If we say that about 60 games, it's true as well.
For sure.
But yeah, it just it's frustrating because as a writer who was a fan before, right. Like the last time they won a playoff game, I was a senior in high school, 2004. Actually, you know what?
2003, let's go.
First year of college, I was, and like Joe Mauer, 0 playoff wins, never played in a playoff win.
So sad.
So it's been that long. So fans naturally treat me as an outlet for that frustration.
Fair.
But I think they're ready to exercise those demons. I think they're ready to just mash on somebody. But God, if it's the Yankees again, I might just have to quit. I might just have to walk away.
Move teams.
It's actually it's funny that you say that, because he actually just said right now that he does not. He views the White Sox as more of a potential burden on the Twins than the Yankees.
Really?
No, I don't see it. I think the White Sox are immensely talented.
They're the 2015 Cubs, man. I'll say it.
My concern is, first of all, so Giolito's great, right? Mm-hmm. But you're expecting Dallas Keuchel to pitch like a 2 and Gio Gonzalez to pitch like a 3. If they pitch like a 4 and a 5 instead, which is a perfectly reasonable outcome,
Right.
that's not going to be helpful. Reynaldo Lopez, if he takes a step forward, would be really helpful. But if he doesn't, I think Grandal is going to be a big part of that. I think it's going to help a lot. And I still have some questions about who's going to get outs late. I think Steve Cishek is great. I like Jace Fry, Alex Colomé. I think they've got some guys in place that will get those outs, but I need to see it. And then offensively, and don't get me wrong, people said this about the Twins a year ago. Are they going to get on base? I think they're going to hit the ball. Will they get on base? Because Luis Robert, we don't know if he's going to get on base. Eloy Jimenez, he's more of a swinger. Nick Madrigal eventually is going to come up, but when will that be? Will he hit for any power at all, or will guys be able to knock the bat out of his hands? Edwin Encarnacion has to keep defeating Father Time, just like Nelson Cruz has had to. And so I do have questions, but I think they're immensely talented, and it wouldn't stun me at all if they're right there at the end. But I think when you look at a 60-game sprint and you realize that anything can happen, you still have to favor the most talented team. And there's no doubt in my mind, in this division, the Twins are the most talented team.
And I think,
mind you, like the guy that I'm actually like asking you these questions about, he's a Cubs.
Yeah. Wow, that's
He's
a swerve.
So he's actually very knowledgeable. He actually just sent me a text. He's like, I want to be on the show.
Sounds like fun.
So,
Oh my
but no,
God.
honestly, man, like, God bless you. Thank you so much, and it's so much appreciated. And
Anytime.
we're a total hodgepodge of a group. Obviously, as you can tell, like I'm swearing, drinking beer, and everything like that. But
I'll have a drink next time.
yes,
fair,
perfect.
fair. Please, I hope there's a next time because I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that you give your opinion and to be honest, with you, very knowledgeable information about baseball. So
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Brandon. We'll definitely have you back once baseball is in the swing of things. This has been a lot of fun, so thank you very much, man.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys.
Talk to you
thanks,
later.
Brent. We're still here though.
There we go.
Anyway, honestly, that was awesome. He's such a good dude.
I
He's
love
such a
Brandon.
good dude. Very knowledgeable. Honestly, I love the fact how very super uber focused he was.
And this is what I love, and I tell my dad this all the time. Like, I'll do an interview when I was at home. I'll do an interview, and I'll come out of my room and be like, Dad, this guy knows so much. And I say that all the time. And then,
He's amazing.
Exactly.
He's amazing.
I mean, he's listing off players from every team. And, I can do that as well, but he's listing off, the middle relievers for the Diamondbacks.
I would love... Okay, so I would love to have my buddy, who's very, very now. Obviously, he's a Cubs fan, but with uber knowledge of baseball, to be on with him at the same time on our show, and let them let them talk and let him have a conversation. Because I'm telling you right now, MJ, we it could be a 2-hour long
basically do a movie.
100%. It'd be great, man.
That would be awesome. Well, I mean, I am just very happy that my internet has worked the entire time. Bradley internet is definitely better than home internet. So I'm very happy about that. That also spells good things for if we're able to continue to do this during the school year. So
there's a quote right now.
Oh, no.
From my boy. I'm saying it. I'm going to say it live right now. And he'll probably get annoyed at the fact I'm doing it. But he's like, I want on the show. I'll rip that shit.
What's your friend's name? What's his name?
Ooh, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that.
You've been telling every question that if he's going to come on the show, I need to know his name.
All right, how about this? His name's Eric.
Eric?
That's it. That's all I'm giving.
Well, yeah, I don't need to know his full name.
No, not the last name, nothing. His name's Eric.
Perfect.
And his nickname is either Big Red or BMOC. You know what BMOC means? Big man on campus.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
So I'm going to tell you right now, this man is one of the most knowledgeable sports people, very opinionated, worse than I am, ever. It's amazing the knowledge this guy has. So.
Well, then, next Thursday,
Eric
better get his
Thursday.
butt. Eric better get his butt on here at 7:00, and I will have another baseball person for him, and we'll see how knowledgeable Eric
let's
really is.
go! Good shit.
I will find somebody who will test him, who will screw with him, and we will see how knowledgeable Eric really is.
Pull him out. Oh, it's great. He's gonna love this. All right, good stuff, MJ. Good stuff.
Yes.
Hey, man. Honestly, like real quick, and I know you'll close out, but I'm gonna do quick my closeout. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yes, it's been 3 weeks, and yes, it's later in the evening than usual. But God bless. Thank you so much, and I hope you're all healthy. I know this is crazy times right now. However, I actually, I think that like we as a family, as a group, as a society, everything, we can get through it, and we're better than what the divide that may happen. However, like I said, we're better than that. We'll get through it.
All I have to say is if you want football, if you want basketball, if you want baseball, if you want hockey, wear your mask.
Wear it!
That's all I have to say.
Let's go. Go Bears, go Cubs, and... Oh, I didn't bring it up. Hold on, wait.
What'd you bring? What are you supposed to bring up?
I'm still live.
I didn't click off yet.
I gotta bring up the quote. Hey, it's after dark, so it don't matter anymore.
Oh, no.
Matt Chapman believes the empty stadiums will play to the advantage of the A's. Says they're, quote, used to having quiet games.
I knew you were going to say that. I hate you.
I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
I'm leaving.
Done. He's giving up.
I hate you.
Hey,
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
7 o'clock.
Okay, we will start the next show with that because I have comments on that. Okay, I'll see y'all later.